We are now almost ready to describe all the components of the electron-positron annihilation into a muon and anti-muon. We know how to describe the propagation of an electron, positron, which is just an excitation of the same field but propagating with a negative frequency, and that's why we have narrow pointing backward in time. And of course we have similar excitations for the muon and the anti-muon. The only difference is the mass of the fermionic field. We know also how to describe the mediator for this interaction, which is a photon, a spin-1 boson, and we know that we need for that a vector field. We also know how to encode the amplitude of probability for this process through the many-path formulation formalism. And we know that our amplitude will only be meaningful if we start from a vacuum and we end up in a vacuum. And therefore we need sources to create particles and antiparticles, and also to annihilate them with the correct properties. So we need to create electrons and positrons, and we need to annihilate muon and anti-muon. So these sources act on different fields, the electron field and the muonic field, for particles with positive frequencies and for antiparticles with negative frequencies. And they also excite the field with the required energy momentum K1, K2, K3, K4. So we want to describe usually a collision, so we need to, that fixes K1 and K2, and we have detectors which will be able to detect the outgoing particle with some given momenta K3 and K4. So we want an amplitude of probability to describe electron plus positron with K1 and K2, and giving at the end a muon and an anti-muon with K3 and K4. So all that is encoded in the many-path formulation for the amplitude probability. The only thing which we still need to incorporate into our description for the formalism is how the interactions happen. So that's what we are going to do now, and that will be done using perturbation theory and Feynman diagram such as this one. But first we need to describe the Lagrangian for the system, and we see that we have three fields at play. We have one for the electron and positron, one for the photon, and one for the muon and anti-muon. The electron and the muon field are fermionic fields, so corresponding to spin-1/2 fields, and therefore without interactions they are described by the Dirac Lagrangian. The photon is described by a vector field which is massless, and therefore it's described without interaction by the Maxwell Lagrangian. But these are only Lagrangians for free field without interaction, and we see that in order for this process to happen we need interactions, so we need additional terms to the Lagrangian which will describe these interaction vertices. Eventually we will see the explicit expression for these interaction Lagrangians when we will introduce quantum electrodynamics. But for now we are focusing on simple interaction Lagrangian, so we will forget the complexity coming from the non-zero spin nature of these fields, and we will use a simpler version for scalar fields. And we will assume that the initial and final field is the same. In that case, the Lagrangian depends only on two fields, big phi and small phi. Big phi is a mediator, so represented by a dashed line, and small phi is the incoming and outgoing perturbation of the field. Now, because we have scalar fields, their free part of the Lagrangian are described by Klein-Gordon Lagrangians. And for the interaction part, we see that the vertex connects two small phi's with one big phi. So it is expressed as a product of two small phi and one big phi. And G is just a number, that's a coupling constant for the interaction, and the minus sign here doesn't play really a big role, it's just a convention. But we can even simplify this problem further by assuming that the mass of the mediator is very large with respect to the typical energy scale involved in the reaction we are interested in. In that case, we showed that we can integrate out the field for the mediator, and we end up with an effective field theory which only depends on the field small phi. We saw that in this case the effective field theory reduced to the so-called phi-4 theory. And indeed, in this case, we have four lines corresponding to disturbance of the scalar field, all connected by one vertex. So this is perhaps the simplest theory we can think of which will describe collisions with two incoming particles with some given energy momenta, and which are then changed into two other energy momenta, K3 and K4. And this is simpler because there is only one field, and it is a scalar field. And that's what we usually use, the phi-4 theory, in order to introduce quantum field theory with interactions, and in order to introduce Feynman diagrams and perturbation theory.